Hello amigos, this is David with Raíces Vivas, and today we are in Sovereignty Ranch, and we have met such an incredible couple, power couple, that they're going to talk to us about their operations. And you guys, take it out from here.
Yeah, you bet.
My name is Helen Sneary, and I'm from Matagorda County, Texas, which is between Houston and Corpus Christi.
Uh-huh.
And we ranch, have cattle.
Nice. So how long you been doing? I'm sorry, and my friend?
Yeah, and so I'm Loy Sneary, and our company is Sneary Cattle Company, and we're a 5 generation. My grandkids are 5th generation on the ranch, and so we raise commercial beef cattle, and have been doing that, as I say, for 5 generations now. And interesting thing that we have done is, in about 9 years ago, we changed our grazing management to high stock density grazing. And our whole reason for doing that is to rebuild the soil's health by intensely grazing cattle across our ranch. We're able to rebuild the soil's health. Amazing. And when we have healthier soil, we have healthier plants and healthier animals. And so that was our whole goal, was to rebuild the soil's health.
And what is the location of your ranch, guys?
So we're in Matagorda County, and Bay City is where we live, the town that we live in. My son and his family live on the ranch, and Matagorda County is between Houston and Corpus Christi.
Awesome. Okay. So then you mentioned that about 9 years ago you started switching to these new practices. So far, what has been the biggest impact that you have seen in the ranch and outside the ranch and within yourselves through these practices?
A lot of differences. The pastures are beautiful, and the cattle move, and they like to move themselves. When my son or my husband go out and lift the fence, and they just run because they're waiting to get to the good stuff on the other side of the fence. The healthy herbs and things that were not showing up in the pasture before we changed grazing practices.
And do you guys supplement with anything else outside of their natural fertilizer and their...
You mean for the land?
Yes.
So traditionally, for this 5 generations until 9 years ago, we traditionally grazed cattle, and it's called set grazing, and that's the way most ranchers in the United States, most ranchers around the world, graze cattle, and they turn cattle out on the ranch, and the cattle can go wherever they want to. We changed that up, and so we're taking all of those cattle and we're putting them in very small paddocks. And so we move those cattle routinely and methodically around the ranch in a high stock density paddock. And so it may be 6 months before cattle get right back to where they were just grazing before. And that's one of the big things that helps the rebuild the soil's health. A lot of the benefits that we're seeing is we've improved the organic matter in our soil by about 500%.
Holy moly.
Yeah, and it's improving the health of the vegetation that the cattle are eating.
Yeah.
So economically, it's a huge benefit economically for our operation, for our company, and part of that is because of the vegetation they're eating is much more healthy.
That's right.
And which leads to us. Now, you were asking before about the inputs. We used to spray our pastures with chemicals, trying to kill everything that wasn't grass, because that was the way we were taught. You know, you got to kill all the competition, and we found out that's not the best way. And so we don't spray. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years that I've been ranching on chemicals that have actually been degrading the soil. A lot of things that we don't do. We don't spray insecticides on our cattle anymore for flies, because now we're moving the cattle and we're staying ahead of the fly cycle.
That's right.
So we don't have that input. And so the bottom line for us is that it's the right thing to do. That's the reason we're doing it, because we're taking better care of the resources that God has given us.
Yes.
And but then also economically, it's been a big boon for us. We've increased our stocking rate by 30%, and we've lost some lease acres, about 500. We ranch on about 4,000 acres.
Okay.
So we've increased our stocking rate while losing 500 acres at the same time.
Yeah.
So economically, all of our fixed expenses are spread out over more head, and so it's more profitable. We're shipping our calves at earlier, so they're staying on the mama cows anywhere from 30 to 45 days shorter, and we're weaning more pounds at the same time.
That's amazing. And then for those who, by the way, incredible operations. Like I'm fascinated by it. So I can't wait to one day go there and see it. But also I want to mention something for those that don't know about this high density. It's basically just a lot of animals, really short period of time, and just you gotta move it quick because you don't want them to overgraze and to compact that soil. So you get them in there, you get them out, and then something that I see it is mimicking nature.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, and especially with what you said of, you have 6 months of resting periods. That's amazing. That's unheard. Other people is like, what? 6 months you don't see a cow? Yeah, they come back and it's full again.
Yeah.
They're healthier, and the high stock density grazing is really paid off. I mean, it's a part of the move to regenerative agriculture that we're seeing in other areas, and that's why we're here close to Bandera today at this conference, the Regenerative Agriculture Conference.
And then tell us about how you got to know this high density. Like, who did you saw it in a magazine?
So actually, I was on the board for Houston Audubon Society. I was on the board, and we invited some people to come out and take a look at the ranch and do a biodiversity tour. So they were looking for plants and animals and birds and insects and all that kind of thing. And so the conservationist for Houston Audubon, I was talking to him, and I asked him if he knew anything about grass-fed beef because we were kind of interested in learning about that. And he said, well, no, but I know the guy that I can introduce you to that helped write the protocols for grass-fed beef. And I said, well, that'd be great. And so Alan Williams, Dr. Alan Williams is who that is. He's a well-known, and he teaches, regenerative agriculture all over the world. Mm-hmm. And so we were fortunate that we met Alan in our hometown. And he came out to the ranch, and he was not only, he told us about the grass-fed beef, but then he said, have you ever heard of adaptive high stock density grazing? And we said, no, I mean, we've rotated cattle for years, but in big rotations. They'll stay over here for 2 months and we'll move them over there for 3 months. But not this high stock density. And he was talking about moving cattle every day. You build temporary fences, electric fences, and you move the cattle every day. And my son was with me, and we drove out to the ranch, and I was, Alan and someone else was in the car behind me, and we got in the truck, and Adam said, Dad, that man's crazy. We ain't gonna move cattle every day. but we gave it a try for about 3 months on a small herd, and we saw that it wasn't near the as complicated as we were imagining it was. And so then we just converted all 4,000 acres to it, and we were glad that we did.
Yes, that's amazing. Wow, so even I can imagine that the operations in the ranch, your team and everything, you have been getting to the point that after 9 years, it's down to the T.
Yeah,
like it's a well-engined.
But you know what? And you're right. I mean, we've learned a lot during this 9 years, and there were some times that we could have made some really bad mistakes, but thankfully we didn't. We came close, and so there is some risk whenever you're doing something new. But we were able to overcome that, but we're still learning. I mean, we learn something new, just about every day about it.
I gotta say something. That's why I love ranchers and farmers so much, because there's this humbleness to say, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I was still learning, and to hear from you that you're still learning. Okay, I think I'm in a good track.
Well, if we quit learning, we just stand still,
Yeah, that's right. So. I don't. It's an amazing weekend. I don't want to take up much of your time, but if there would be something that you would like to share with our friends and then our new farmers that are starting, people established. So, two things: where they can learn from your operations, and if there is anything that they want to learn from you guys, or reach out. And what would you tell them or tell you guys 9 years ago? Like, what would be the message that you guys can?
So I think, and that's a really great question, because for us, we had to make the decision because this is such a huge difference in the way we manage our cattle. We didn't know what we didn't know. You know what I mean? But still, you know, thankfully we had Dr. Alan Williams. Adam, my son, and I, we drove over to Tennessee and went to a field day over there with some ranchers that are doing this, and we learned from them. I learned from the state of Vermont, from the NRCS office in the state of Vermont. I learned information from Michigan State University, people who are doing research on this. So we felt fairly confident that we had good information. But what I would tell other ranchers, if they're considering anything like this, they really need to consider it because of the economics. If they're not concerned about improving soil health, and most farmers and ranchers are, they want to do what's right for the soil. They want to do what's right for the creation that we've been gifted. But even if that's not their motive, everybody in ranching is interested in enhancing their bottom line.
Exactly.
And this is the way to do it.
Well, everyone will press attention once you mention like your economics will improve.
Yes.
Like what?
Yes, absolutely.
It's
I mean,
actually been surprising to me.
Yeah, that's amazing. And even you were mentioning earlier how good it is whenever you go to the field and you see this diversity and other things. Like, how cool is that? You know, like,
It's wonderful to see places that were often grown up with weeds or whatever, and it's healthy looking vegetation and flowers and beautiful pasture. And the cattle just can't wait to get across the fence when they tell them it's time to move. They just run in and enjoy it.
I will do the same thing, believe me.
well, one other thing that I would say this, you know, we're grateful. We were the first ranch to sign up to sell carbon credits to grassroots carbon.
In the set of sexes? Or
Yeah. No, the first ranch. It was a new organization that started. It was called Soil Value Exchange at the time, and I learned about that through some friends that were starting that organization. It's later now become Grassroots Carbon, and so we actually get paid for the additional carbon that we're sequestering in the soil. The reason that we've got increased carbon being sequestered into the soil is because of our grazing practices and because we're enhancing the soil's health. So the plants again, healthier soil makes for healthier plants. Healthier plants can sequester more carbon. So we're actually getting paid dollars for doing that. And so add that to the additional part of the bottom line that the efficiencies that we've created through this. So it's there's lots of advantages, and I would encourage any rancher that's thinking about doing this to certainly, you know, talk with someone. There's several, but we use Grassroots Carbon, and we've got confidence in that company.
And it's healthier calves when it's time to ship them.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you for your time. Personally, it has been lovely to meet you guys.
Yeah,
and
same
I look
here.
forward to develop a really good relationship. It's my honor to get inspired by such people like you. So if there is nothing else actually to say for now, thank you so much for your time. We'll be following up eventually to visit your ranch and then throw some steaks in the grill.
Right.
And we show people more about in reality what is happening, because sometimes imagining is kind of a little hard for some, but once you see it, it strikes a nerve, and then it's easier, the motivation and the change to say, I want to go there.
Yeah. Seeing is believing.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you so much.
Let's see you next time.
It's
Thank
good.
you.
Good to be with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adios.